Export revenue, which can finance the imported capital goods which are necessary for investment. It is clearly evident that industrial upgrading is the key to economic development in Tunisia, since manufacturing industries producing largely for export a major source of foreign currency exchange revenue. Industrial production represents about 28% of GDP. Tourism is a major source of foreign exchange, representing about 20% of the hard currency receipts, as well as an important sector of employment. British Gas is the major developer of the natural gas industry and the largest foreign investor in Tunisia. Commercially, Tunisia is closely linked to Europe. Tunisia signed an association agreement with the EU, which went into effect in 2008. It aimed to eliminate custom tariffs and other trade barriers on a wide range of goods and services. In addition, the government of Tunisia embarked on a program, Industrial Upgrading, to improve the competitiveness of Tunisian industry. The program consists of technical assistance, training, subsidies, and infrastructure upgrades aimed at encouraging and assisting Tunisia's private sector industrial restructuring. However, there are several constraints affecting broad-based growth. Two major impediments to economic growth in Tunisia were identified by a recent study conducted by the African Development Bank in association with the Millennium Challenge Corporation. The first is a lack of effective institutions that ensure public sector accountability, the rule of law, the checks and balance on power. This directly resulted in barriers to entry, corruption, nepotism, and weak protection of property rights. It is highly believed that these challenges can be addressed by constitutional and administrative reform, along with a clear and consistent approach to the private sector by the transitional government, which should signal that it is committed to private sector-led growth, as well as fair and objective adherence to the existing law. The second major obstacle to economic growth in Tunisia is the high financial and regulatory cost of employing workers. Although social security programs and labor protection are said to be channeled towards enhancing workers' pay, benefits, and economic security, many measures currently in place have caused the opposite and have expanded the informal sector, with firms using a variety of means to evade the requirements of employing workers. Other studies have pointed to other factors, particularly the lack of investment in infrastructure, the poor qualities of education, and the weakness of government aid to the private sector. All these areas need to be improved and developed, but if the two major impediments described previously are not removed, the additional investment that results from improving the infrastructure and education will not be enough to sustain the economy. Despite the rate of unemployment, it is pleasing to note that the high unemployment in various disciplines clearly indicates that investment and growth are not being hampered by the shortage of skilled laborers. And also the high immigration rates of educated workers indicate that we can compete and find jobs outside Tunisia. Furthermore, the risk that social unrest becomes persistent and pervasive could trigger an economic constraint that, if not effectively addressed, can result in a debtor investment in the coming year. There is an urgent need to start a national dialogue among African countries, representative of civil society organizations, trade unions, employers, workers in the informal sector, and the unemployed, to reach a new social contract that accommodates the economic efforts of public policies and recognizes the importance of property rights, competition, and fighting corruption in driving growth and creating jobs. Even though Tunisia is geographically a small country in relation to the continent of Africa, we are a strong, powerful, and blessed nation. Thank you.
Before you start, who is lead for this event? Who is the person that is going to be speaking first?
Oh, we don't. We're introducing everyone. He's the president of the
He's the president of the
union.
okay.
He will be introducing everybody. He will do the opening address and then introduce the different speakers.
Okay, then. So
But
if I start, I'm not feeling well. So if I can't project my voice as well, you know why.
you prefer to sit?
I'll stand because I'm very short, but I wouldn't be able to give off like how I was practicing it. Imagine, on one side we have a canvas. Painted is poverty, corruption, starvation, and struggle. On the other side, we have another canvas. Painted is wealth, resources, a rich culture, and talented people. While many may have their own opinion on which best suits Africa, the truth is both paintings help tell the story of this great land. With 79% of its population being black, we may not see it now, but we are destined for success. As in the words of Carter Woodson, at this moment then, the Negroes must begin to do the very thing which they have been taught they cannot do. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Representing Uganda and its President Museveni, I am Shemari Cooper. Be it resolved, industrial upgrading is the key to economic prosperity for Uganda. To answer this question, we must first understand the question. What is industrialization? According to the Business Dictionary, industrialization is the economic development based on factory production, division of labor, concentration of industries and population, and certain geographical areas. However, it goes on to say that industrialization is also the process by which traditionally non-industrial sectors such as agriculture, education, health, and an economy become increasingly similar to the manufacturing sector of that economy. What does this now mean? Simply put, this means we should not focus on construction, oil, or gas, or manufacturing, but instead take advantage of the traditionally non-industrial sectors, as well as to become an all-rounded people. With that being said, I strongly believe that industrial upgrade is the key to economic prosperity for Uganda. Located in East Africa, Uganda is known as the land of beauty and the pearl of Africa. With a rich ecotourism and beautiful beaches, flora, fauna, and jungles, there's always something worth stopping for and taking a minute to enjoy. While geographically they are blessed, Uganda does face the problem of having the fastest growing population in Africa. With a landmass of 236,040 square kilometers and a growing population of over 34.51 million people, it is a cause for concern. For any country to thrive, they must be able to sustain itself. Uganda, like the rest of the world, has also been dealing with the negative effects of global warming and all the climatic changes that come along with it. As a result, the energy sector has been greatly affected. The United Nations Development Programme wrote, despite the knowledge that the impacts of climate change, aggravated by population pressure and environmental degradation, cost Uganda billions of dollars each year, there has been little attention given to the maintenance and improvement of the weather and climate monitoring infrastructure. They go on to say, however, that since 2007, however, attention to the issue of climate change has increased. A National Adaptation Program of Action, NAPA, and its implementation strategy to address immediate and urgent issues of climate change have been developed and approved by my government. While I applaud the government of Uganda for taking this initiative and putting measures into place to deal with the problem, I strongly believe that a country must always have options so to minimize its chances of failure. Currently, Uganda's main sources of income are mining of cobalt, gold, copper, iron, and ore, and the extraction of crude oil. While Uganda is said to have one of the richest mineral deposits, and the 2006 discovery has been estimated to sub-Saharan Africa's biggest onshore oil discovery in 20 years, the country still continues to face a decreased GDP and inflation. Some of the reasons given for this poor infrastructure, lack of employable skills, limited resources to financial and technical support, and higher labor force than jobs. In an interview done with Ugandan citizen Kutashabi Sergius, I asked, "What do you think are the reasons for economic downfall in your country?" And he replied, "Corruption and the cost of living is too high. Education may be good, but the system is bad. Only white-collar jobs." Earlier on, I spoke about Uganda's main resources of income. However, what I deliberately left out was the fact that although those are the main sources of income, historically, Uganda's economy has been based on agriculture, relying heavily on cocoa, coffee, tobacco, and fish exports. And as a result, 70 to 80% of its population is employed in the agriculture industry. Mr. President, I want to make the link. I want to make the link. I could read, but I feel like what you would want to read. Mr. President, I want to make the link. No. 1. While 70 to 80% of the country is employed in agriculture, they make less than the 10 to 20% of the country who are employed in the oil industry. 2. Sergio said that there were too many white-collar jobs, while the government said lack of employable skills. 3. While Uganda is blessed with natural resources, it is not able to develop them because of financial and/or environmental constraints. 4. Poor infrastructure. For example, although gold contributes to a lot of the country's exports, an unstable supply of electricity has hindered gold mining production potential in the past. These are just a few of the reasons, and already we can see how they can have a damaging effect on any economy. I was once told that you can have a solid foundation, but once the frame and the roof is weak, the house will fall. You can have a weak foundation, but a strong frame and roof, and your house will fall. You can have a weak foundation and frame and a solid roof, but your house will fall. However, when you have a solid foundation, a strong frame, and a sturdy roof, you can sleep in peace at night. What I am trying to say is that in order for Uganda to reach its full potential and continue to grow, it must focus and pay attention to not just one, but all sectors. Unlike other nations, Uganda is blessed with the abundance of natural resources, and with a population where over 79% of its population is under the age of 30, they have a very strong and reliable labor force. What does this now mean for Uganda? Industrialize, industrialize, industrialize. It must turn its economic downfall into the reasons for its economic development. Uganda is, okay, that one I have one thing. Okay, 70 to 80% of your population are already involved in agriculture. What can we now do? 1, create programs to make it easier for these persons to expand on their businesses. 2, evaluate our education system and include a wider variety of areas of studies. 3, infrastructure. Uganda's resources are no good if they are not accessible. Make clean water, reliable electricity supply, and good roads a priority. 4, we have a rich ecosystem. Once tapped into, millions can be generated. From my research, weekly discussions, and interviews, I conclude that industrialization is the key to economic upgrade for Uganda, simply because of the great foundation we already have to build on. With a shift in focus, re-evaluation of current systems, and an upgrade in our infrastructure, I believe with time we will be able to be a successful people. I would like to leave with you a popular Ugandan proverb which says, "A hunter pursuing an elephant doesn't stop to throw stones at birds on trees." Keep your eyes on your goal, Uganda. Don't let little distractions and downfalls hinder your greatness.